Hello, everybody. Really good to be up here, like seeing some faces. The first Motion North that we did, the first Motion North that we were involved in was during the pandemic, and it was just me in my bedroom staring at screens, and because of how Keynote works, I couldn't even see Johnny or anyone else on the call, so it's amazing to be able to see so many faces like staring back at me today, and a huge thank you to Johnny and the whole Motion North team for inviting us. It's like insane to see what these guys have built with this. And thank you as well for coming to see us. So who am I? I'm Stephen, creative director with a studio called Art&Graft. And Art&Graft is an expert team of design and motion specialists dedicated to making brands move with beauty and intent. But what does that mean exactly? Well, I'm going to try and drill into that a little bit today, and I think the best place to start is a showreel. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we're super lucky to be able to work with a whole host of amazing brands from around the world. As a studio, we've been going for 15 years now. I've been there for 13 years of that. I joined as a junior and made my way up to creative director as everyone more senior than me just mysteriously started disappearing. And I think the reason why I've stayed so long is because of the variety of work that we get to do in the studio. And I'm going to do a really quick fire round through a load of different projects to show you that variety. So we recently were involved in the entire visual branding for the Gemini 3 launch. We've done some cell animation for the Sphere in Vegas, which was insane. We took an American startup, Line Mobility, end-to-end from design strategy through to a 3D launch film and website build too. We were lucky enough to journey into the quantum frontier, mixing different styles and techniques, style transfer and traditional cell animation with some 3D projection mapping. It's hard to say fast. We launched a Coinbase app with a motion graphics medley. We worked on a live performance for virtual band We Are OFK at the Game Awards. It ventured into a Miyazaki-inspired world for US startup Proto, and got to build a really expansive, ever-growing kids channel with Boeing, which is a European kids channel, and every sticker, every asset in the channel identity could be updated and changed so the channel can continue to evolve and grow. And that kind of toolkit thinking is something we're really being asked to do more and more. Certainly finding that brand teams that we work with really find value in the scale and the consistency, and it works for us because we're able to use our design and motion skills, but also have some kind of technical nerdery with that as well to make it work as these systems that can, as I say, scale and grow and develop. Around the commercial work, we also get a chance to experiment, a chance to play around with different techniques and other kinds of projects. So we have what we call our Spark sessions, where we just mess around with different things. It's a space to learn and develop and grow. And so many amazing projects have come out of this over the years in different forms. And the biggest and most ambitious is our studio film, In Pursuit of Magic, which you might have seen yesterday if you're around. I'm going to play it in a little bit as well. But yeah, a huge undertaking and a chance for us to like flex our creative muscles around the commercial work as well. I'd like to talk a bit about like how we work and use a couple of those projects as some kind of case studies for that. And I think the best way to talk about it is through like a few kind of principles, I suppose. And the first one is intention. Without intention, without good ideas, we feel like the projects don't resonate as well, don't connect with the audience that you're trying to connect with, and they also give you a kind of creative argument to inform every decision on a project. If you have a concept, if you have an idea at the heart of it, every decision is already made for you because you just use that concept as the sounding board for the direction that you want to move in. So yeah, using line mobility as an example of this, one of our most recent projects that we launched, we were really lucky to work with these guys. If you haven't heard of them, it's completely okay. They're an incredibly new company, but they're trying to revolutionize transport, starting in the US and moving wherever they can. But essentially, they're creating more space in cities by having these transport networks elevated above the streets on these in these pods, and you can kind of zoom around. There's a test track in the desert. Apparently, these things can go up to 80 miles an hour in between cities. It's kind of wild. But yeah, we took them all the way from the design strategy through the brand build, a 3D launch film as well, and a website as well. And so the intention there had to be super clear through every single touch point of that. So the logo itself is a really strong, sturdy, triangular mark that feels trustworthy and dependable. But through that, you have this kind of flowing line that speaks to the movement of travel and transport and the branching pathways that you can take with line mobility. We applied that same thinking to color as well, and how we could pair this trustworthy kind of blue tone with a more visionary orange tone. And obviously blue being a color that you see a lot in banks and healthcare, and the orange kind of offsets that and gives them quite a unique look as well, especially in the transport space. As I say, that thinking went through every layer of the brand identity as well, even to the choice of typeface, which is magnetic, which is kind of a nice little nod to how the transport actually works. It's held onto the track with magnets. So we thought that was a fun idea, and the client team seemed to enjoy that as well. And then the film itself, we really considered the story through that and the structure of that, going from a sort of picture of their view on transport now and taking us through a more diagrammatic world into a really hopeful and optimistic, positive view of the future. How do you get to an idea? How do you get to a solid concept? That comes through iteration and through making and finding things out by doing and having a crack and diving in. And that comes from the team, essentially, that we have, the skills that we have in the studio, all combining in different ways to create, incredible work. We often refer to ourselves as style agnostic. We go whichever direction a project takes us, and that's because of the amazing team that we have in the studio. And that thinking is the same for every brief we approach as well. So we will iterate, and we want those first presentations with our partners to be a bit overwhelming in some ways, and really hit them with a lot of options and explore things thoroughly, leave no stone unturned. And we see it really as our responsibility to push things and get things wrong. We want to push the briefs to a point where the brand teams that we work with haven't done that, right? We want to find those edges and feel out where an idea can go, where a visual language can go as well. But you get to that point through communication as well, and that communication happens for us in our studio. A really important space for us. It's vital to our process, being together, the development, the speed at which you can move, the instanacity, I don't know if that's a word, but it is now, of how that works when you're in the same space with everybody. When you get talented minds together, real like magic can happen. Same thinking goes for our external partners as well, with the brand teams that we work with. Being able to share ideas and explore possibilities together is a crucial part of what we do and how we like to work, and passing ideas back and forth between each other and really like honing in on something that feels like special and that you can resonate with. And some of these are some kind of motion tests and motion examples from our Gemini rebrand that we worked on for the launch of Gemini 3. I've got a sizzle in here as well. Actually, I'm gonna play this just because I want to hear how it sounds on the good speakers. Thank you. That sounded pretty good, actually. I'm glad I did that. We have set out with intention. We have iterated. We've communicated. The final step in this is the curation, bringing it all together, working our way through the options to find like the right answer, basically. And I think a really good example of that is the work we did with Coinbase recently, or the Base app that launched. And this was a really iterative process as well. There was loads of development with their brand team, their creative team, thousands and thousands of Figma kind of real estate used up on mood boards and references, and finding the way to, and design exploration as well, as I say, finding things through making and getting things wrong. And then from there, you start to find connections, you find things that work, moments that connect and land with the brief, the idea, that sounding board that I talked about, and you move in and refine that and develop that into what is the kind of final collection of stills which are flashing up here. Amazing kind of to work with that team and how fluid and quick they were moving, and that really fit into our process as well, as being able to be super adaptable to how the project works. And I think with these sort of four elements, they kind of sum up, I guess, part of our process, part of our ethos, how we work as a studio as well. I think something that kind of dives a bit deeper into that as well is the studio film that we made that I kind of talked about a little bit earlier. And it'd be lovely to play this for you guys now. I'm always really fascinated to play it with an audience. We spent a lot of time thinking about it, a lot of time working on it, so it's amazing to kind of watch it with other people and hear other people's thoughts on it. I don't want to tell too much about the actual narrative or the story or any of the thinking necessarily. I think it's actually more fun to hear what people think about it and how they interpret it. So please do come and have a chat about it afterwards. I'd love to see what you think. Outside of that, I'm only going to say 3 other things about the film. Firstly, it took around 2 years to make, and we were squeezing it in between commercial projects, which was no easy feat. I think the team, we're kind of ready to be finished with it by the end, shall we say. And the second thing is that everybody in the team had a hand in it. Everyone who has been through the studio in the time that it was working on, every department, every skill set. We got people together to talk about this and find it out together, find what it should be together. We were our own clients, and that's a blessing and a curse, I suppose. But it was a really insanely beautiful process. And then finally, the third thing is the sound on this, done by the incredible Zelig sound team, who I think did a fantastic talk yesterday. So I know it's going to sound good on these speakers. Thank you very much. Sorry, the sound on the credits is my favorite bit, so just that crackly sounds really cool, so I enjoy seeing that. Thank you, guys. I want to talk a little bit about the idea of positivity next. It's something we talk about a lot in the studio, and it's something that I feel like we all probably need a little bit more of now as well. Just as a quick show of hands though, to see if I'm right, how many people are feeling positive at the moment about motion specifically? Let's not get into like around the outside world, but positive about motion. Okay, all right, okay, that's fair few, that's good. Well, hopefully we can like help with that, and I want to dive into the idea of positivity through the lens of looking at challenges that face us and finding ways to deal with them or see opportunities in them. Positivity through like action and through finding plans rather than like blind optimism ultimately. So I'm gonna dive into kind of 3 areas that we want to talk about a bit, and how we as a studio look for positivity in those things. So probably nobody wouldn't guess what the first would be. And I don't want to spend too long here, obviously, because it is something that has been talked to death about, of course, but I feel like it is important to talk about in spaces like this, especially. It's a technology that's going to change the world, and the deeper that you look into it, to change the entire universe as well and beyond the stars, and we definitely won't get into that now. I think within our specific field, within motion, obviously, it's a huge, exciting prospect for people because it makes kind of teams think they can go faster, they can save money, the usual kind of drivers of that sort of avenue of thought. And so it feels that we're at a place now where quality is being compromised, essentially, and the technology that's there is not at a state where it can move in to replace certainly like the work we're doing. And we've been looking for ways that it can fit into our process, because the technology itself is it's a tidal wave, essentially. It's been described as a tidal wave, and we as a team feel that we could turn our back on it, but that doesn't change the fact that there's still a tidal wave coming. So we need to understand more about it, learn how to engage with it, and understand it as best we can too. So we got together as a group and discussed AI as a subject. You can check this article out on our website, on the studio page, where we talked a bit about our kind of thoughts on AI. I think the main thing I want to kind of say at this point is around, like, we truly believe in a human-first, human-led use of AI as a tool to kind of empower and build on the work that we do. We describe ourselves as AI curious and AI cautious as well, and just been looking in between those commercial projects in those Spark sessions at ways in which we can use it in our pipeline. And it's important to say that we haven't really found ways in commercial projects that it's been able to like get in there yet. So these have just been kind of internal experiments that we've been doing ourselves, and seeing how it can like empower our team, essentially, how really incredibly super talented people can pick up this technology and use it in different ways. So how a 3D artist might pick it up and be able to use it to fill perhaps a 2D kind of skills gap that they have. AI is kind of talked about as one big conglomerate blob, but it's actually a kind of myriad of like smaller technologies, and that's something else that we've really learned, is that there are loads of small little ways in which it can influence how you work, whether that is writing scripts for After Effects or helping you rotoscope or write emails. Whatever that might be, there are these small little ways which can empower all of us as creative people without losing touch with what we enjoy most, which is the craft. And these examples, for instance, were taken, they're all 3D renders by an incredibly talented human artist, but the objects themselves were created through an AI process of taking photos of things and then using AI to create models, which were then, arranged into these like really beautiful art-directed kind of compositions, all done by like the human eye, but using AI somewhere in the pipeline to help speed up a process that would have taken much longer. and would have taken more time. And so it enabled that person to be able to like work on this further and get further. Not going to deny that this isn't like an insanely complicated and nuanced subject, and there are different views on it, and completely understand all of that and hear all of that. That it's a subject that we really need to like get our heads around, and that's what we're trying to do with these projects. But the positive angle in this, we feel, is that like with all this kind of technological change, and there's always been technological change in society wider, but especially in motion, and we've adapted, evolved with that. But there's opportunity here in this technology. Whether you want to lean into it or whether you want to rebel against it, it's still an opportunity to be able to show what human craft can do, either with AI technology or without it. So this is a like really awesome stop motion piece that Max made in the studio, and he carted around this sort of suitcase rig with his camera around the studio, sort of moving step by step, taking photos as he went through. And that's also a perfectly legitimate response to kind of how AI is working. But we feel like you have to be able to understand it and to see how it can work and how it can fit into your pipeline as well. And enable you to do better work, ultimately, because there are kind of bigger issues, wider issues that are enabling AI to spread further, we feel. And I think the place where that's most prominent for me anyway is when I find myself here, trying to find that quick fix, trying to find a reference that just ticks that box in the speed that I need it to. And really this is super dangerous, right? We're all drinking from the same wells. The work itself is becoming homogenized. It's harder to see those needles amongst the hay. In fact, there's more hay and there's less needles now. It feels like we just kind of have a lot of hay. And so how do we break through this? Because ultimately this feeds into, crikey, that's really red. Didn't look that red on my monitor. But ultimately this feeds into how AI works, right? It's a recycling machine. You put beige in, you're going to get beige out at the end. So how do we break through this? We feel that comes from, individual taste, individual personalities. So being able to curate your own thoughts and references from your own experiences, essentially. So these are just some photos that I've taken as I'm roving around doing various things. And I suppose what I'm saying with this is like everyone should be developing their own points of reference, whether that is things they've seen or books or films or whatever that is. Chairs, you can be inspired by chairs. Chairs are amazing. But build your own kind of point of reference that can then feed into your work. And when you do that, and then you get in a room with like-minded people who are also building their own pools of reference and combine things together, you make magic, essentially. And that's what we're trying to do in our studio is have a space where we can create these little sparks between incredibly talented people and find new, break through the beige and find the new within that, ultimately. I don't know if you guys have heard this expression, a camel is a horse designed by a committee. It basically plays off the idea that, too many cooks, too many people in the decision making will ultimately like spoil it and make it worse. We feel that's kind of the opposite for our process. We want to make stallions together, and that comes from, as I say, talented people, everybody bringing their A game to a project, to a moment in our studio, and finding these moments where we can let talented people come together and do what they do best. We're in the same room, so that creative chemistry is, instantaneous, and we learn and develop together and understand each other better through the process of, being in the studio with each other. And it's important we get this right for the future as well, the next generation coming through, the next generation of talent. We're setting the standards of work for the people coming next. And so it's really important that we focus on what is important to focus on, which is developing your craft, developing that curation, that sense of individual personality, obviously the technical skills that come with that as well, but trying to create a space for people to be able to learn and be able to develop. And this feels like as good a time as any to shamelessly plug our internship as well. You can apply on the website if you wanted to. We're looking for talented people who are creatively curious to come and join us in the studio. People who are just getting started in their creative careers, basically, and looking for that commercial experience and ready for that next step into a kind of professional studio. So yeah, if you are interested, you can find out more on the website. And then the kind of final thing I want to dive into today is the idea of community and where that comes from and how we build that as well. We're all a part of that. We all have a hand in shaping that. And so how do we ensure that, creative culture is created? How do we make sure that the next generation of talent coming through, our future kind of creative leaders, where are they going to build experience? Where are they going to learn how to work in what we do? I feel like the kind of the stems of this go a little way back, of course, to the pandemic and COVID and kind of siloed working that was created from that, and how the working environment has changed. This idea of kind of remote working has obviously become a huge thing after COVID. And there are incredible benefits to that. We completely recognize that. The flexibility to be working from home, the opportunities for people to be able to connect with global talent, basically. And so, we totally recognize that, but off the back of it, there are issues that come through loneliness and isolation with that as well, and also development, how do you learn when you're alone in your room ultimately, and kind of missing that connection from creative people. Of course, there's an amazing online community of incredible talent and ways to learn and connect with people out there, but is that the best way? And I think it's within this space, how we can ensure that people are building the right kind of technical and creative skills, but then also building the experience as well. I think, for younger creatives to be able to build that experience of being in a studio space and learning through osmosis, learning through the senior members of the team around them. I know I certainly have benefited from that over the course of my careers, overhearing things, seeing how people interact and talk and communicate. It's really kind of, benefited me, I feel, in learning how to be a more rounded creative and trying to get the best work out of others as well and from others. And this isn't about looking back through rose-tinted spectacles or, the kind of it was better in my day kind of talk either. This is about trying to hold on to a truth that feels important and feels like we should be considering and thinking about too, especially when this idea of recycling and echo chambers online are kind of being built. I'm certainly seeing more and more showreels of similar tutorials without necessarily the intention or the thought there, and so we've got to find a balance through this ultimately, and that's what we're trying to do in our studio. We're all in together Mondays to Thursdays, as a group, and share that space with each other. And then Fridays are flexible, so you can work from anywhere, or you can come into the studio as well. So again, finding that balance of the online time, the flexible time, with in-person contact as well. And from that, we feel we get these opportunities to grow, learn, and develop together ultimately. And I think we're saying both can work. I think a great case in point is being here today, right? This event could work online, but it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't have the same feel. And so that's the kind of point I'm trying to make here. We all have a hand in shaping this future. So where do we want our industry to go? Where do we want what do we want the kind of standards to be? What do we want the shape of the community to be as well? And for us, answering for us as a studio, their answer is like quite simple. It's about like being part of something, feeling connected or like committed to a team that you can trust, that you can build and grow and develop with as well. And I think that idea of commitment goes wider than just like our thoughts on it with team as well, whether you commit yourself to your craft or this event or whatever it might be for you. Just find your thing and commit to it. Okay, so I'm getting to the kind of final points of the talk now, and if you didn't hear or none of it's made sense so far, then hopefully these like final 4 slides will kind of like wrap it up and summarize everything together. So in terms of technological changes and advancements there, I think the best advice we feel we can give is about learning and evolving with that. As I say, there's opportunities in this technology, whether you're leaning into it, whether you're rebelling against it. It's pushing us to be better, and we should answer that call. Intentionality is super important. Bringing an additive quality to your work, pouring yourself into it, and that will genuinely create the new and break through the beige as well with this like crazy red. Being together, as I've said, super important for creating better ideas, for the ideas of community, for development, for that next generation of talent, which is going to buoy us all up and inspire us all. Like that idea of togetherness is, hugely important. We feel in the kind of next few years, especially. And the final kind of thought I want to leave you with is just like enjoy it. Like we are so lucky to be able to do what we do. It's very easy to forget that in the kind of day-to-day grind and push of what we are trying to achieve, but really being creative is it's a gift, right? And however you use that talent, wherever you use that talent, enjoy it, and let's build an industry around that passion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stephen from